Welcome to the Disciple of Yeshua. Please hit the like and subscribe down below in your right hand corner. Muchly would appreciate it. We're trying to grow this channel. And remember, when this channel grows, we could really use your backing, your support. Subscribe, likes, they're very important. Financially, if we get to a point we can place all funding from this channel will go, this particular channel will go to assisting less fortunate, those in encampments, homeless shelters type things, the homeless, and also overseas with a lot of the same issues. So that is the whole fundamental what this channel is created for, and to get the word of the Lord out. Okay, I had to retake this one because this has been such a difficult episode, and it's going to be two parts because I can't get it all into one. This is pertaining to, as the topic stated, we knew the war in Gaza still continues, and there's still hostages being held. Yes, there were many releases, but there's still a lot kept, and this is totally addressing the issue. And this is a dramatic scene. I mean, until I tripped on some of the documentaries, it was just broke my heart, and it will break yours. I suggest you look at them. For anybody to claim that this didn't happen is, how dare you? Again, we get into this ongoing issue right from the beginning of time, this anti-Semitism thing, and it's got to be crushed. And we knew that Satan would use anti-Semitism because, of course, he's going to attack the nation of Israel, which is God's, and he's going to attack the followers of Christ, which are God, Yahshua's and Yahweh's. So, how dare anybody to question the atrocities that have happened to these people? How dare you? You don't even, I'm trying to be, this really, I don't have the tolerance for the garbage. And, people look at Christians or followers of Christ like we all have to, they're there, it's okay, and happy-go-lucky. You know what? There were great men, women in the scriptures, and King David, there's great soldiers that had to fight. You may have to fight for the gospel. I didn't tell you to be a coward. I don't see anywhere where the scriptures says you have to be a coward, and this is the presentation we get from a lot of the churches, that it should be, happy go, love, and love is a wonderful thing. Pardon the line. Unfortunately, there are peoples who are geared out and filled up with hatred, as these poor women and young girls who could, I look at it could be your daughter, my daughter, and were totally raped, blood-stained pants. You can see it in the pictures of their genital areas and their backside. These men raped them and raped them violently, destroyed the genitals in some of these women and killed them. They were, paraded around a poor young girl. And these are, it's so sad. Young ladies that had promising futures, beautiful young ladies, didn't deserve this. They paraded them around, drugged them up, and paraded them around and raped the hell out of them. And killed some of them. Some of the stories are, well, actually, everything I've seen has been heart-wrenching. And it's disgraceful. And I'm done. There's, for the United Nations, don't be fooled, folks. The United Nations doesn't, for the audacity for them to speak, and took them forever to accept and go ahead and declare, yeah, these were violations and war crimes, rape did happen to these. Jewish women. How dare, how dare people to put it in question? You know what the problem was? It's because half of these nations that are now have been probably for the last 25 years to 30 years now. That's United Nations. It's not the United Nations we knew of growing up when they're, that was set up from World War II. And we mighty got into the early 70s where they were still standing on 2 feet, but in the 80s it just started to decline, and we let terrorist countries in. This is no longer the United Nations we know. It represents nothing but garbage. So really, it should be abolished. It's a pathetic joke. How dare them try to, because they're of course they would speak against Israel when they're terrorist groups. Come on. Wow. But this anti-Semitism, it's got to stop. And I'm sorry, I will stand up with my channel and back the Jewish people all the way, because I have more respect for the Jewish people than I do even my own nation for what it stands for. The Western world has really felt backwards because we haven't enforced our own what we were represented and stood for. We've gone against it because we brought in, and it's not a knock against immigration. It's the way immigration's been done. That is the problem. You don't get rid of what your country stood for people moving in. Now that's just outlandish and outright pretty straightforward. These countries wouldn't allow a Canadian or an American to go, or a European to go in their nation and run in politics, be handed out large amounts of money, and be put forefront over their people. No, they allow you to live there peacefully, but you better just be very quiet. And so it should be. Our nations have failed. We have put them in the forefront, and it's not the people's fault. It's our government's fault. And it's created a problem. Now you have a situation. That's why you're seeing the second part of this. Palestinian protests in Canada. Palestinian protests in the States or in Europe. How dare you? You chose Hamas to be your leaders, I guess you want to say. You chose Hezbollah to be your leaders. If you wanted peace, you would not allow them to represent you. You would not be preaching, because it's evident you come into our nations and you cause protests and you attack Jews. That's a ship out of here permanently if our government had any honesty to them. Same with the American government. That's an automatic ticket out and you're done for good. You're never to come back. You don't have a right to come into a nation. Like I said, Canada forgot it's Christian. We forgot it because we've allowed everybody else to dictate what the religions will be. And now we have the issue of that we know there's only one true God. But now, nothing against the people, but the Muslim faith and the Islam faith has more respect by our governments here, more things implemented, and the setback of you can't talk about the Lord. How dare us? We will pay the price for it. You will too, USA. You will too, Europe. We will pay for it. Because now the enemy's from within. Yes, there's good people that are here, but there's also the enemy. That's why you see those protests. The moment they don't have a right to protest in our nation, they want to go protest about the situation. You go to that country where you came from and protest over there. Not here. Don't bring your war zone here and attack the Jews here. How dare you? And how dare our politicians and government officials that do nothing about this? How dare anyone condone these women being raped, these kids, teenagers, babies being raped. You could see the blood in the pictures. You could see the body parts, the genitals that were cut off, some of these, a lot of them that were cut off, these females and the males. And God knows what was done to them and killed. Some of them just keep getting raped, and who knows, with the amount of blood coming out of in their pants, God knows. It's definitely a violent raping, and it's not acceptable. The world kicked up a stink when places like, when we had, the situations in Romania and different places like that. There's so many different ones. We've seen atrocities in different type wars within, Kabul as well, Iraq and Iran type of scenarios, Iraq, where they rape the women. This has got to stop. That is not called for. Why does it always deter to this? That these people who want to follow an animalistic way of life, their hatred of jihad mode, they have so much hate filled within them that they can be this brutal, because I don't know how you can be this brutal to another human being. What I seen on there, I bawled. And I'm still having a hard time. I'm having a hard time even taping these tapes because it's too much what I seen there. But I will defend the Jews. How don't anybody ever, like with the Holocaust, you heard the battles. Oh, the Holocaust. Yeah, we have all the proof in the world. You're straight from the pit of hell if you're saying that. You are being used by the dragon, and you know who the dragon is. It's Satan. This all makes sense because their hatred's against Israel, so they know they're going to be after God, what God had named his nation. That's common sense. So who is Satan going to want to attack? It's Israel. That's common sense. And it's so strong. The hatred is so strong. And what was done to these people, and it was done in the Holocaust, it just keeps getting done to them over and over in different areas in the world. Oh, no. We can't defend the Jews. Are you out of your cot-picking mind? Because I'll tell you what, hopefully there's more people like myself that are followers of Yahshua. I would die for the Jews. Just understand that there are some of us. And to our politicians here, how dare you have a lot of accountability on your hands. Because when the messages were sent to us, we better be concerned. Because it's going to be, at some point in time, it'll be us having to face that same trauma, because we have the terrorists within our own nations. And that's not the good people that are from other countries. But don't tell me there's not terrorists. You can see from some of these movements in these protests, you didn't see the Jews protesting everywhere. And actually, they had a right to, with their women being raped. But I don't recommend it in another country, not being violent. Although even you didn't hear of Jews attacking Palestinians in other nations, but you heard a lot of the Palestinians attacking Jews. So that tells me there's a great seed of hatred there. And that tells me I feel for innocent Palestinians that are suffering over there as well, because we know there's probably some soldiers that may have done some wrong actions as well, like driving the man on the roof of a car to the hospital. Well, at least he didn't rape him. Wasn't right what he did, but it definitely wasn't right. However, he didn't. That was beyond what they did to those women, and cutting the genitals and gang raping them. Come on now, really? A lot of these were young ladies that had such bright, promising futures, beautiful young ladies that could be our daughters, and how dare them do what they did to them? And I say, how dare the United Nations need to be kicked to the side, out. You don't represent nothing, and you don't have a right to dictate to anybody anymore, because you're filled, half of your nations now are not peaceful nations anyway. You're not from the seed of Yahweh whatsoever. You're within your terrorist groups. We know. So that we can say that needs to be abolished and kicked aside. And I commend Israel for not taking orders from you. You're not what you used to be, where you had the right when you had the right countries in place that were Christian-based nations. And I don't care if people like what I got to say. There's one God. There's one God alone, and I don't really care if you like it or not. This used to be a Christian nation, Canada. So I'm not one of those pussyfoots that's going to sit in a pew on Sunday and, yes, I believe in love and peace, but I also don't buy the garbage of anti-Semitism needs to be battled. The hatred needs to be battled. And I totally agree with Israel's leader, Netanyahu. He's totally right. Hezbollah needs to be destroyed. You can no longer go on with this game. Hamas needs to be destroyed. The game, if you keep stopping your opportunity when you're in a war with them and you see the atrocities they've inflicted on your people, they brought it on with October 7th. Again, this is not the first time they've done this, but they brought it on. And Israel this time, I totally agree with their approach. No, it's not their fault that Hamas is using Palestinians as their shields. But again, Palestinian people, if you wanted peace and you wanted this to stop, you yourself would stop allowing these people to be your leaders. You would stand against it and fight them. But unfortunately, I see it in my own nation. The hatred that's spewed out in public protest. An honest, God-fearing politician who knows what our nation's about, and you've allowed these people to come in. They should have been boarded on a plane and shipped out the moment they took that movement. Sorry. We got to get off our tushes and realize this was our country and we need to take it back. And that's not against immigrants. There are good immigrants, for sure. But you cannot tell me there's not terrorists. After seeing these protests, we have terrorists in our own home now. And I hate to say it, there's so many of them. It is not a good situation. That's why I say the homework should have been done right when we did immigration. There should have been guidelines, rules. You can live here. You don't get to dictate. You'll follow our religious, because this is our religious beliefs. That's the way it is. It's a Christian nation. Too bad, so sad. You can have your faith, but don't kick up a stink about anything like that. You're not doing it here. And if you can't deal with that, then you're not coming in. That's how it should have been. And you don't give them more handouts than you do your own people. And look, we got people that were Canadian born on the streets now, which when I was growing up, you never seen this. You never seen a homeless person. Now, and you look at them, I hate to say this, I've only seen Canadian born people on the streets. Sorry to say that. That's another topic, and we'll be in the second episode, because we have some local ex-politicians to discuss in this. That's why I put the picture on the front page as well. But people, it's time. And for those, I'm just going to give out some scriptures in prayer that you can use. Those who are scarred, people that came out of this and were released, those who are still there, and those of us who are around serving the Lord need to pray these and use these verses. And it's really good for help aids in the direction of praying for these people to be protected. Job 1:10, Zechariah 2:5, Psalm 11, verses 8 through 11, Psalm 25. It's not Psalm 25, it's Psalm 2, verse 5, Psalm 91, verses 8 through 11, Psalm 34, verse 7, Psalm 91, verses 14 through 16, Psalm 91, verses 1 and 2. So those are just some prayers, and we'll pray about the situation, and then we'll take off to the second part. But how dare, it's time. Basically, okay, enough is enough. Watching these ladies with bloodstained pants, genitals being found, and people, UN so-called military people or whatever you want to call it, that went in on the UN's behalf and verified what they were finding. The beds all set up for where the crimes took place, the rapings, where they used certain houses, and wherever they probably did it, wherever, tied them to trees, stretched their legs apart, ripped their limbs off in some cases, shot them in the crotch, cut their genitals off after they were done raping them over and over and over and over and over and over, expecting that Jewish women would be, because they're theirs, to be like a dog, and just because they thought they were pretty, you'll be my wife and you'll have my children. And the sad part is a lot of these women could end up pregnant from these monsters, these beasts and I pray that God destroys these beasts. Destroy the enemy, Lord. The dragon moves. We know who the dragon is, Satan, in a description in the scriptures. And these people are filled with Satan's movement. That's why in the scriptures, when God commanded Israel in certain battles to wipe out and take no prisoners, wipe out the total people. And I'm sorry, you don't have to like it. I didn't ask you to like it. It's what God said. I don't know. I have a hard time with some of the things that are in the scriptures, but I have to know it's His word. He's right. I'm wrong. Bottom dollar. And look at this, what's going on after it. They ended up suffering the repercussions because God told them to clean house. But no, they allowed some to live, and then they paid the price for it. And, we all want peace. But the hatred that's spewing out from Hamas and the outrageous, outlandish things they've done, enough. It's not okay. Same thing. I'm sure this is being done in the Ukraine as well. I just happened to be on this because these were the documentaries I seen in this particular, and then I did verify that there's still hostages, and Lord have mercy. Again, I have to say it's a shame that people are being killed. I feel for the Palestinian people, but I don't understand their thinking, and I don't understand their hatred. Sorry. Because don't tell me they don't have a hatred, because I've seen it here in my own nation. There's a deep root. It's this jihad crap. They're thinking that way, and I say this to our politicians. When you see protests that they have no business making a protest in our nation, they need to be shipped out. Time to go. Sorry, but I could not. These young girls, and there's such brave young girls that were interviewed, and I commend them, and I pray that God heals them. And I don't know how you get healed from scars that they are going to have. Some of them in institutions trying to heal. Some of them sent to Germany and being in institutions there to heal. Everybody trying to help them get on that. I don't know how you get over that, but I know the only answer is Christ that can help you heal. That's the only answer I can give anybody. The atrocities about this anti-Semitism, it needs to be done with. And I say, Israel, all the power to you. Destroy, complete the mission, destroy Hamas, and destroy Hezbollah. And any of the people who are, well, we can't stop that those movements, terrorists, are putting you as you're getting killed because they're putting you in front. You're allowing them to be your leader, government, or whatever. Fight them. Overtake them if you want peace. That's the true thing to do if you don't want peace. And you're cheering on the rapes that they're doing to the Jewish women. You don't want peace. So yes, there's some good Palestinians, but there's, as I said, you could see the cheering on as well. So sorry to say that. But I pray that God totally protects these people and cures. We know that it's the time anyway that the dragon's going to go full tilt in his hour. It's a matter of, we knew this. It's all written. But anyway, Lord Jesus, we thank you for this day, and help these poor innocent girls and ladies, families, husbands that have died. The children, Lord. encamp angels about them, Father. Help us to, as brothers and sisters in the Lord who see this, not to just sit back and fold our hands in churches and it's, oh, love. We know love is your way, Father, but we also know David had to fight, and many great people of the Lord had to fight and stand up for you and what you stand about. And we need to do the same. We are no different. And Father, we just ask that you handle us and protect them. Help the scars be healed with those poor ladies and bless them. And again, those who are still hostages somehow in camp, find a release for them. And, do whatever it takes, but destroy the enemy. Destroy the hatred. Destroy those who have that much hate in them, Lord, that want your people dead and wiped out. And destroy the people that keep denying what has happened to the Jews, because that's another hatred as well. It's the same thing. Anti-Semitism is the same thing. It all roots in the same pile of garbage. So Lord, draw those to you. And I hope those people are yours. And draw anyone seeking you, Lord, that they come to you, open their hearts, accept you, Yahshua, because the only one that can heal is you, Yahshua and Yahweh, the Father. You're the only one that can heal in the Holy Spirit. And we need you to be there, Father. And in those places in Gaza, in the Ukraine, and if there's anywhere else where I'm sure there's plenty. But and if there's a lost soul and you're hearing this and you want the Lord, just ask him to wash with his blood. He will. Ask him to come into your life and follow him. And it's a new day and you're his child, and he will encamp angels about you. May God bless you. We'll catch you in episode 2. God bless.